Hey, we're not playing. Your husband is on way to South America. Then you guys have 24 hours to return the stuff. Or we will come after your families, you know? We're not playing. We're gangster for Colombia. Colombia, entonces no estamos jugando, ¿ah? We cartel, we don't forgive you.
What you just heard comes from a chilling voice note, allegedly sent to someone close to suspected Cape Town gang boss, Peter Jaggers. Early in 2024, a secret deal was made between a dangerous Colombian cartel and a powerful Bulgarian gang. They needed someone they could trust to move drug shipments worth millions across the ocean. That man was Peter Jaggers. What they didn't know was that they were placing their empire in the hands of the very man who would betray them. For years, Jaggers, leader of the feared Terrible Josters gang, had been the perfect middleman. His crew controlled drug retail markets across key parts of Cape Town, manufacturing meth and trafficking a stream of illicit substances. His role was simple: receive the coordinates of incoming shipments, collect the product, and ensure its safe delivery to the Bulgarians. It was a smooth operation, quietly making everyone involved very rich. But this time, he wasn't the same man. Maybe he was tired of seeing the money flow past him while he stayed in the shadows. Maybe it was just greed, pure and simple. Whatever the truth, Jaggers was done dancing to another man's tune. It was time to play his own game. So, he quietly planned his next move, one bold enough to secure his freedom and his fortune. Instead of facilitating the handoff between the Colombians and the Bulgarians, he would take everything for himself. No middleman, no masters, just Peter Jaggers at the top. On paper, it was flawless, but in reality, it was a death sentence. Because Jaggers wasn't just stealing drugs, he was betraying two of the most dangerous criminal organizations in the world. And that one choice set off a wave of revenge that would destroy him and everyone close to him. In this video, we delve into the dark rise of international drug cartels in South Africa, a story that culminated in the kidnapping and murder of Peter Jaggers. He was no ordinary man. He was the architect of the Terrible Josters, a criminal empire controlling over 10,000 members, their influence spreading like a shadow across the Western Cape. The Terrible Josters were not your typical street gang. They were international operators, trafficking in abalone, a seafood so valuable it fetched fortunes in China, and running transnational smuggling networks. When Ernie Lastig Solomon, a prominent figure within the gang, was murdered in 2020, the balance of power shifted. With Solomon gone, Jaggers seized the moment, consolidating his influence and rising to become one of Cape Town's most feared and respected underworld figures. Jaggers' power wasn't built on fear alone. His reputation rested on something far more dangerous: trust. He delivered on his promises, a reliability that caught the attention of Colombia's deadliest cartels. When they needed someone capable of navigating the near-impossible logistics of moving cocaine across oceans, they turned to him. At his side was William Peterson, his right-hand man, sharp, loyal, and well-versed in the lethal intricacies of international drug trafficking. Together, they seemed unstoppable, but in the world of crime, nothing stays the same forever. On the night of March 25th, 2024, a shipment arrived off the remote South African coast. This was no ordinary cargo. Months of careful planning had gone into it. Kilos of pure cocaine, worth hundreds of millions of rand, were being shipped from Colombia's coca fields to meet the insatiable demand of Eastern Europe's drug market. This was a shipment capable of making or breaking criminal empires, and Jaggers was their chosen middleman. The plan was simple. The Colombians would load the cocaine onto a ship, sealed inside a hidden container and fitted with a GPS tracker. They would then send the location to the Terrible Josters leader, Peter Jaggers. Jaggers would get the coordinates and, as usual, send his team to pick up the load without drawing attention. From there, his crew would move it through safe houses and corrupt contacts across Cape Town before delivering it to the Bulgarians. But that morning, everything changed. When the coordinates came through on Jaggers' secure device, he didn't follow the usual plan. Instead, he sent his most trusted men to carry out a risky scheme. Because Jaggers had decided the shipment, worth millions, would be his alone.
We have seen in recent times an escalation in the extent of poaching and the equipment that the poachers have available to them. We have seen the lifting of the lid on the challenges that are arising with international, especially South American cartels, starting to do large heroin, cocaine shipments through our coast.
On the morning of March 26, 2024, the Maritime Rescue Coordinating Center in South Africa got a distress call. A fishing boat, stranded about 80 miles off the coast of Simonstown, had run out of fuel and was drifting in the open sea. The caller's voice was full of urgency, leaving no time to waste. Within minutes, 2 rescue boats were sent out. When they arrived, they found 6 men huddled on the deck of a small, battered boat. They were unharmed and said they had run out of fuel while fishing. The men were brought safely back to shore. To the rescue team, it was just another day. To everyone else, it looked like a normal story of fishermen being saved. But only those 6 men in Jaggers knew the truth. They weren't fishermen. They were part of a plan by Peter Jaggers. Their mission wasn't to get the drugs, it was to act. Their job was simple: pretend to be stranded and get rescued. The goal was to make a story that would explain why the shipment never reached its destination. Jaggers wanted the Colombian Cartel, the Bulgarian Mafia, and anyone else involved to believe the drugs were lost at sea, a decision he would later come to regret. You simply cannot outsmart 2 of the most ruthless criminal organizations on Earth and expect to get away with it. But if Jaggers thought he had gotten away clean, he was dead wrong. Thousands of miles away, both the Bulgarian Mafia and the Colombian Cartel were about to discover they had been played. The Bulgarian boss was the first to suspect something was wrong when the shipment didn't arrive. His patience quickly ran out, and he immediately called the Colombian cartel leader. The Colombian, at first calm and confident, listened in growing disbelief. Peter Jaggers had always been their most reliable middleman. Always. How could everything have gone so terribly wrong? Wasting no time, the Colombian leader called Jaggers directly, certain there had been some kind of misunderstanding. During the long call, Jaggers gave excuse after excuse as the cartel boss repeatedly demanded to know what happened to the shipment. But the excuse didn't sit well with the Colombian boss. Like any cartel leader, he trusted his instincts, and they were screaming that something wasn't right. This wasn't their first operation. They had executed far more complex deals without a single problem. Furious, he decided he wouldn't take Jaggers at his word. For 2 long months, nothing happened. No threats, no attacks, just silence. Jaggers, growing more confident with each passing day, began to believe he had pulled off the impossible. He was about to be billions of rands richer. He had stolen a shipment worth millions of dollars, deceived 2 of the most dangerous criminal organizations on the planet, and lived to tell the tale. But in the shadowy world of organized crime, silence is rarely a blessing. It's the calm before a storm. By June, almost 2 months after the shipment had vanished, the storm finally arrived. Jaggers received what seemed like a polite, friendly invitation from the Bulgarian bosses to discuss the lost shipment. Jaggers knew he couldn't refuse. Declining would only raise suspicions, and he couldn't risk anyone digging too deeply. So, against his better judgment, he agreed to the meeting in Johannesburg. What he didn't know was that the Bulgarians weren't looking to negotiate. They already knew the truth, and so did their Colombians. On the 3rd of July, Peter Jaggers and his associate, William Peterson, landed at an international airport in Johannesburg. They were warmly welcomed by a group of seemingly friendly Bulgarian men who escorted them to Emperor's Palace, a lavish, world-class hotel. What seemed like first-class hospitality was, in truth, a deadly illusion, a carefully staged trap designed to draw the unsuspecting kingpin and his partner deeper into danger. With flawless precision, the Bulgarians guided them to their luxury suite and shared the time and location for a meeting that would change everything. Hours later, Jaggers and Peterson prepared to leave. According to witnesses, the pair were last seen walking calmly toward a vehicle scheduled to take them to what they believed was a routine meeting. Back home in Cape Town, Peter's wife began to worry. Her messages went unanswered, and with every passing hour, her concern turned into fear. On the 5th of July, 2 days after Peter's scheduled meeting, she finally went to Bishop Lavis police station to file a missing persons report. Hours later, a message from an unknown number appeared on her phone. When she listened to the voice note, her heart dropped. It was from the Colombians. They demanded that she, or whoever was in charge, return the stolen container to them, warning that if their demands were not met, Peter Jaggers and William Peterson would never be seen alive again. Desperate, she demanded to know where her husband was. The answer came like a dagger to the heart, swift and emotionless. He's on his way to Colombia.
Hey, we not playing. Your husband is on way to South America.
Peter Jaggers' associate tried to find a way to settle the debt, explaining they didn't know where the cocaine was. The man demanded 50 million rand. Realizing they couldn't pay such a large sum quickly, the associates offered to work for the Colombian Cartel until the debt was cleared. The Colombians refused to make any deal. 3 months after Peter Jaggers and William Peterson went missing, a man walking near the Klip River in the Free State noticed something unusual in the water. He quickly called the police. When they arrived, the officers found the bodies of Peter Jaggers and William Peterson. Both men had their hands cuffed, feet bound with cable ties, and were chained to heavy objects that sank them underwater. Cartels use this method as punishment for anyone suspected of betrayal or theft.